Today, on Our American Republic, we will talk about the power and the origins of the states. The Constitution itself was centered around 13 state legislatures elected by American colonists. Representatives from these governing bodies defined the new structure that would form the federal government of the United States. This constitutional structure granted legislatures power that has been forgotten over the years following war and other world events. Let's take another look at the colonies that became states in our united America. The 13 colonies were not always united, and even Great Britain did not see them as a unified nation. Most of the states independently began their existence via royal charters as companies, under the authority of the kings and queens of England. Within the boundaries of English law, the colonies were able to exercise independent local governance through local legislatures in the absence of the king and of Parliament. Virginia was the first to get a charter in the name of the Virginia Company in 1607. More states would follow over the next 125 years, and the final corporate charter issued to the colonies would be granted to Georgia in 1732. Each state would ultimately be governed by its own legislature, which operated almost independently for many years prior to American independence. Most of the American colonization and self-governance began in the early 1600s. After 150-plus years, the colonies had developed unique cultures, governmental structures, and worldviews of their own, separate from those back in Great Britain. The state legislatures and their people ultimately saw themselves as strong, vibrant, and free. Aggressive actions by the British Parliament finally motivated the 13 colonies to unite under a common government. The Treaty of Paris sealed the birth and survival of the American nation, but the Republic would not be born until 1788. As the Constitution was conceived following the American Revolution, the states sought to avoid ever being subjected to absolute rule again and expected equality under the new system. To achieve this, the U.S. Senate, the Electoral College, the 10th Amendment, and the ability to call constitutional conventions were established in the Constitution. The U.S. Senate would allow states to protect their individual interests on equal footing regardless of their population. The Electoral College would also protect the ability of less populous states to contribute to the selection of the president. The 10th Amendment granted states the powers to govern independently on issues not enumerated in the Constitution. And Article 5 granted the powers to call constitutional convention if 2/3 of the states deem it necessary to change the federal system to address state-level concerns. Significant power rests upon the states in our federal system. They choose, by our consent, how to govern within their borders and limit the power of the federal government. How much freedom should they have? How does the Constitution balance the powers of the states and the federal government?